Hello everybody, it's Pineapple here, back with another video. So the other day I did my prediction video for the ban list, and today I thought it'd be fun to do my version of actually solving the ban list, fixing the format, because this format, it needs a lot of work done to it, not necessarily in the sense that, it's particularly bad, just that there are some cards that I think are particularly toxic and make the format very, very unfun. So with that, let's just hop into it. First up, we got Shifter. I don't think that Shifter is a particularly fun card. I don't think that it's an enjoyable card to play against. Your deck either can or cannot play under this card, and if you can't, then you lose the game. So subsequently, I think it should go. I don't think that anyone will mourn the loss of this card. It's very frustrating, especially when the best deck of the format is a Shifter deck. So good riddance, goodbye. You will not be missed under my ban list. Next up, Calamity. This is as a thought at home. It doesn't matter how prevalent I think it is, even if Monadium's best line probably includes not making this card, I think that the potential for it to exist is not an enjoyable experience, and therefore means that we just shouldn't have it. It just shouldn't be a card that exists. So again, ban unfun cards. That's going to be the moral of this ban list, and we are going to be just getting rid of Calamity. Arise Heart. Macro Dryden is an exceptionally problematic card, especially with its alternative summoning condition, even though I think the best way is to just make Arise Heart and pass. This card is just so warping. It's the new masterpiece is what I like to describe it as, because it warps the format around it. Your deck either has to have an out to or be able to play under Arise Heart, because if you can't, you will lose the game. So Arise Heart is just such a good card that you got to be able to play under him, or you lose the game. You just lose the game. It's not more complicated than that. And I think that he's got to go for that reason. The fact that Konami put him to 1 really screams to me that this card is going to be banned. Sanctifier Dragon. This is here because I debated Gimmick Puppet of Nightmare versus Sanctifier, and the truth is that since Dimension Force, I want to say, Brendan has done one thing and one thing only, and that's tribute their fusion monsters to put a monster on your side of the field, usually a Floodgate. And the truth is that that's just been their game plan. And I think removing that option is significantly better than just banning Gimmick Puppet of Nightmare and waiting for, the next Gimmick Puppet of Nightmare to show up. Whenever that is, we can deal with that later. But I think just giving your opponent a monster is just so toxic. And I think getting rid of that option entirely is such a hit to the ceiling that it's worth doing. So my opinion is just, hit Sanctifier Dragon. Again, I think that's a much more reasonable solution. It future-proofs it. Again, these cards, there will be other cards that give your opponent monsters, and we'll deal with them in kind. But I think getting rid of Sanctifier. This is going to be a controversial one. Harpy's Feather Duster. Fuck this card. It's that simple. I hate Harpy's Feather Duster. I hate mass back row cards. I'm a back row player. I make no apology for this. This card should not exist, especially when I am being very generous and taking Eradicator out. But we'll get to that in a little bit. This card is just reads win the game against back row decks. It's better have judgment. There's nothing that's inherently interesting about Harpy's Feather Duster. It just says win the game. And subsequently, I hate cards like that. So it's out of here. We're getting rid of it. Called by the Grave. This card shouldn't exist. This card is so sacky and frustrating. You hate to get called by the grave. It just says sometimes you're going to win the game and you're going to sack your opponent and it's going to suck. And sometimes your opponent hits hand trap, does nothing because you opened called by. Just an unfun card. There's nothing that is enjoyable about called by the grave, especially at 1. Very frustrating card that boosts going first. Don't like cards that boost going first. We want to make the coin flip matter as little as possible, and giving it going first even more advantage is just a bad thing. So called by 2-0. Skill Drain. This is a hit to Labyrinth specifically, but mostly Stun Lab, even though I think that is the bad way to build Lab. I think Furniture Lab is a significantly better deck, although I think it requires a much higher understanding of technical play, and subsequently people don't like it. But Skill Drain is such a frustrating card, and it's so boring. It's boring. There's nothing that is fun about sitting under Skill Drain and just staring at Lady Labyrinth, because you can't out it. You can't out a 2900 body. You can't out a 3k body. Just get rid of these cards. They're not fun. Nothing is lost by removing Skill Drain. Harpy's Featherstorm. This is a hit to Flu. I understand that Flu is not super dominant in this meta, but there is nothing enjoyable about Harpy's Featherstorm. This is their primary win con at this point now, and I don't like them. I don't like Azathoth cards. Ban them. Again, ban them. Don't like it, get it out of here. Dumb, unfun floodgate. We got more hits to lab. Dimension barrier. I don't think any labyrinth card is a problem. The dumb floodgates they can search like Eradicator and Dimensional Barrier are. D-Barrier sees play in every single side deck on the planet, and so subsequently, I'm saying get it out of here. It's more a hit to everything else than it is lab, although lab can search it, but committing your entire board to doing so, I think is a very weak move unless it wins the game. A lot of the time it does, but that said, D-Berry is just a non-fun toxic card. Epidemic Eradicator Virus, as much as it is a hit to Loud, it's also a hit to Dragon Link and Kashtira, who want to play this card in the side. This card is so unfun. It's Eradicator Epidemic Virus. While it does remove back row deck's option to beat Harpy's Feather Duster, Lightning Storm, and Evenly Matched, you will see later in this video we are hitting those cards as well because I think they are also unfun, stupid cards. But the hand knowledge plus ripping 3+ cards is always just so frustrating. And since I am a generous god, I will be, removing Eradicator Epidemic Virus from my format. For the limited cards, we are unbanning the Dragon Rollers. In a universe where the Vernosylphs are around and see 0 play, of course Redux can come back. A lot of people have been saying, oh, title pitch Enchantress, then Foolish Anything. Yeah, who cares? You have to draw Enchantress and title at the same time. And then what are you foolishing for? Another Enchantress? I really don't see the problem. I don't have a problem with any of these cards. They are literally just worse versions of the Vernosylphs. They're for attributes and stuff. I truly do not care. These cards could go to 3, and they're nostalgia for me because when I was a small child, I bought the Dragon Ruler tins, and so I have a lot of good memories attached to these cards. So I'm putting them to 1. Screw you. Simple as. The Bestial Magnamot, this is a hit to Dragon Link as much as it is generic. The fact they can search it with Lubellion means that, they still get access to it. It just means that, they have to get it off seals. They can't just hard open it and then just, search Seyfried or Tracer in your end phase. Just makes it so that he's still around, but he's not, going to enable some stuff like turn 0 as consistently. I think it's a fine hit. Harp, this card should have come back like a year and a half ago. It's Harp. He's fine. Orcust isn't doing anything. I am a proponent of we can go so far as to move Mermaid to 1 as well, although I think that's a little bit bolder, assuming you ban Nightmare Corruptor Ibali, but I don't think they would be that bold. Sun Avalon Dryas, this is a hit to plants specifically because it lowers the ceiling. So when you want to play plants, you want to go into Dryas, and then you want to it'll get you about 4 materials on board, and you want to go into Jasmine, and you want to make another Dryas if you're on Rika, and then you want to make Sunvine Healer in order to trigger your copy of, your Everlovely Jasmine. Now, if you only have 1 Dryas, you can't do this because your combo has to start with the Dryas, and so I think denying Rika an extra search is a very, very powerful effect that I'm completely fine with. So, overall, I think limiting Dryas is a good way to, change up how Rika plays. If it's the wrong hit, I'm willing to be wrong. It's that simple. X Pearly Noir, now I'm certain that there are Pearly players who are going to be mad at me. You're going to like the changes that I make later down the list, and you'll get to see those in a little bit. But I think limiting Noir limits the ceiling to, 1 big guy who spins stuff versus, 2 big guys who spin stuff sometimes. And so subsequently, I want to put Pearly Noir to 1 because I think it limits the ceiling, but it doesn't hurt the consistency of the deck. And you'll see why in a little bit, but I am very okay with limiting their ceiling to 1 Noir backed up by My Friend and the Field Spell versus, sometimes they end on a lot of stuff and sometimes they end on a little. Dryden, I'm fine with Dryden. This card is completely fine to come back, in my opinion. I'm fine with Zoo. If the problem with Dryden is that she's the 8th Zeus material, then the problem in that interaction is Borbo, and you can just ban Borbo instead. But I really don't care about the 8-mat Zeus. If you have your own Dryden or way to clear the guy when they go to battle, just do that. I'm completely fine with Dryden. Blind Second Zoo is completely fine in my book. MX Saber Invoker, yeah, it's pretty clear that this card can come back. I get that in Master Duel, Coder just unveiled some dumb FTK that is a 60-card pile and plays 50,000 bricks. But, okay, I'm fine with Zoo. You can bring back Invoker. I don't think it's going to change a lot. The targets are Goki, Suprex, and that is it. But yeah, I'm fine with Invoker. Yeah, it's generic, and it summons from deck. I just don't care. I'm certain that there are better things you can be doing with 2 level 3 monsters, like Cherubini. But Fountain, this is, the striker problem that we had back in the day. where, you would go Engage, and you would draw another copy of Engage, and, like, that's the issue with Fountain, right? Sometimes you just high roll, and you get to resolve Fountain multiple times, and you get so far ahead, and that's really frustrating. I don't think that Runic does anything particularly evil. I think the Banish effect is frustrating, but I don't think that it's, so bad that it destroys Yu-Gi-Oh! Or anything. At some point, we will be in a power position where Runic Fountain is completely fine at 3, similar to how Engage is fine at 3 right now, but as of this moment, its resource ability to be generated is too high, and subsequently, I think you should put it to 1 just to prevent Runic from, going like +6. Prosperity. Prosperity is just such a frustrating card. Your opponent just goes, yeah, I'm going to dig 6 cards deep, take my starter, or I'm going to take a board breaker, I'm going to take a floodgate post side, like, just so obnoxious. The fact that decks like Kashtira get to banish like cards that benefit them as well, while I think is a really cool aspect of deck building, is also just a really frustrating mechanic. Arise Heart with a Goliath underneath of it is just such a hard card to out. But that said, Prosp is probably going to go to 1 at some point. I don't know if it'll be this list, but the card is ridiculous. Kashtira Birth. This is the most frustrating part about Kashtira. Just they rebuild their board like it's like by blinking just because of this card. They bring back a Unicorn search Birth, search another copy of Theosis, and then they go off from there. So I really think that limiting Birth, it forces them to have to play a little more conservatively and risk losing it. But that said, just Birth to 1. I'm really being a big hater for Kashtira, but I am a big hater for Kashtira. That deck is just not fun to play against. So I'm happy to remove Birth from the format. Fissure. No one likes Dimension Fissure. No one likes macro effects. Get them out. Dumb Floodgate. Sprite Starter. This is a hit to Sprite's grind games so that they only have 1 starter. A lot of variants only play 1 anyways, but this is mostly just a hit to the grind of pure Sprite. And I'm fine with that. I just don't want to see Sprite in the format as much, so get Starter to 1. Lightning Storm and Evenly Matched. These are dumb blowout cards that are good specifically against back row decks. And they essentially read if they resolve, win the game. And I think only having to play against 1, especially in a format where Eradicator doesn't exist, is going to be so much more impactful. I'd prefer to put them at 0, but I think I'd get flamed by my comment section. And so subsequently, we're putting them to 1. You still have your options to side into dumb broken cards. Don't worry, everyone. Unfun cards that read win the game just shouldn't exist. But I'm being generous and keeping you guys with 1 copy because I'm nice. Macro, same thing as Di-Fi. Dumb, unfun Floodgate, get it out of here. Same with Tikaboo Goes in Rivalry Anti-Spell. Dumb, unfun Floodgates that while they should be banned, I think putting them at 1 means you see them a lot less and discourages people from playing them. So, subsequently it's better. Seeing them less is always better. Moving on to semi-limits, Fenrir. I'm fine with Fenrir. A lot of people are not fine with Fenrir. I like Fenrir as a little engine that you get to use to search other copies of Fenrir. And I think having Kashtira Fenrir at 2, discourages it from being played in everything. But it still means that decks like Vanquish Soul that want to play it can still play it and search whatever attribute they need. So I'm really happy to keep Fenrir at 2. I think it makes for some interesting gameplay and some decisions, specifically when it relates to Vanquish Soul, and so I'm fine with it at 2. Pankratops, it's a better version of Fenrir. I'm sorry, it's better than Fenrir. The fact that it outs Floodgates and stuff, granted on this list I have removed a lot of Floodgates, but the fact that it's really big and it also can go to battle, it can do it as an ignition, not as a trigger effect, is so different. But Pankratops is a really good card, but truth be told, I'm fine with Pankratops being a going second option. It's a going second option that clears the board in interesting ways and has a lot of skill attached to how you use it, how you walk over things and then utilize it. I think is a very important way that how you should clear boards. I like that a lot about Pank, so yeah, he can go to 2. And then Unlimited, no one's crying about Salad. That deck grinds like it's nobody's business, but I'm completely fine with giving them a 3rd Gazelle. That's fine in my book. There's nothing that Salad does that's frustrating. It wants to play a long control game, especially now that they have Salamander Grade of Fire, and so I'm totally fine with giving them a 3rd Gazelle. AFD and Danglong, the difference between 1 and 0 is the most important difference. So giving the extra copies so that I guess if you don't want your Danglong or AFD ripped by a Unicorn, good for you. You can play multiple copies. Delicious Memory, as I talked about earlier, I'm hitting Pearly's ceiling. So subsequently, by moving Delicious back to 3, you can do plump plays if you want. And so you can make a really, really big Noir, but you only get 1 Noir. So I'm totally fine with Pearly being as consistent as it wants to be, as long as its ceiling is compressed and reduced, which is why what the Ex-Perle Noir limit is for. So I'm totally fine with giving you more copies of Delicious because your ceiling is weaker. Engage, like I stated earlier, Striker is fine. Sometimes it's going to engage into Engage, but I'm fine with that. Good for Striker. Fun control deck. And Pot of Desires, it's fine. I guess it's fine. It could probably stay semi-limited. I don't think anyone's losing any sleep. The only deck that plays this is Sword Soul, and I'm fine with giving a boost to Sword Soul. That said, I hope you guys enjoyed this little discussion about my little wish list. If you have anything that I think I missed, I definitely missed something. I'm a forgetful little guy. But make sure you guys like and subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next one.